Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Dad's shop. Today we're going to be working on something different. No lanterns today. We have got an international LA motor that was given to us, and this may end up being a two-part video if it gets run too long. We're gonna get it hoisted up on the table where we can work on it, and then we'll talk a little more about it.
Catch me doing something if you film it right now.
Yeah, it's filming. Almost there. That'll do. There we go. There we go. All right, we got this up here on the bench now where we can look it over a little better. It's got a few spider eggs on it.
Yeah, and them didn't come from here either, so they were outsider spiders.
And I'll wipe it down just a little bit here, but I'm not gonna get real carried away with it at this point. But
I got a new can of glass cleaner out, so.
Yeah, it is an international LA. Let me pause the camera. I'm gonna get my phone out and look up that serial number. All right, looked up the serial number. It is a 1936. Let's wipe off a little bit of the dust here. The magneto is not on it, but he had a box that he brought with it.
This guy told me about this last summer, and I just got it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but
it belonged to Bud Leonard, which was a mechanic in our locale here.
Yeah.
One of the old boys.
Yep.
He's been gone for a while.
But yeah.
And it was left at, well, Bud Leonard was his relation. And,
yeah. What's his name? I can't.
Nick Pugh.
Nick Pugh. Yeah. Nick Pugh saw Dad somewhere, probably down at the grocery store or something, and said, "We got this old international LA engine. Would you guys want it?" And Dad said, "Well, of course, yeah, we definitely would like to have it." And then here just a couple weeks ago, one day, he showed up, had the engine in the back of the truck. The magneto is off of it. Right there's where the magneto goes, but he had a box with it, and the magneto is in that box, so we're going to have to check that out and see.
You would think if it's off, it probably don't work.
Yeah, most likely. That's probably why it was there. But I know you can get rebuild kits for those magnetos. Let's pull look at the wing nut that's on there. I'm guessing that is the original wing nut that went with this. That's pretty cool. Take the little cover off of there. And yeah, the LA does not have, RLB has a self-oiler to oil these rocker arms, so you have to oil the rocker arms on it. Somebody has got a spark plug adapter in there. Look at that.
Oh, I'll be darned.
So it's an adapter to go from the big threads to smaller thread spark plug. That's interesting. We'll probably pop that out of there and put
the old
a proper spark plug in it. But it's nice. It's got the all the little cover for the. Well, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that. But it's got the cover for the rocker arms, and then there's a little inspection door there that you can flip up, and right where that flips up is where your oiler is, so you can oil it without taking the rocker cover off of there.
He says this thing's been sitting for 35 or 40 years, he thinks.
I can believe that. I can believe that. I haven't even really cranked it over to see if it's got, oh yeah, it's got good compression. Yeah, it's got really good compression.
I felt exhaust come out the hole over here.
So yeah, we're gonna have to check out that magneto. I bet you this is probably the, like our LB just has a pipe plug in, but I'll bet this is the correct
Yeah.
filler. Oil doesn't look horrible. Good enough to get it to pop anyway. Let's see. It's a newer fuel cap, but it fits right on there. Bottom of the tank looks pretty good in there. My guess is, short of getting the magneto to work, other than that, I'll bet this whole thing will start right up. Okay, over here on the cluttered up workbench is the magneto that came with this, and it is, I noticed that they've got the wire wrapped around here, and there's this little post wired on there, so that must be part of this, but I don't really know for sure. But I'm gonna clamp it in the vise here and see if we can spin it over with Dad's drill and get any spark out of it or not. Let's just clamp the corner of it in the vise. Then the vise is grounded to the magneto. And let me see if we got an old spark plug up here. Take this old spark plug and wire here and see if this thing's gonna make any spark when it spins over, or if I'm gonna have to order a, I'm pretty sure you can get a rebuild kit for these spark plugs. No, not spark plugs, for these igniters. Magnetos, that's the word I'm trying to think of.
You need help remembering,
So,
let me know.
yeah, I don't know which way that's even supposed to turn. I don't know. Well, I was just going to say I'm going to get the drill and try to put a socket on there, but just spun it with my finger and it's sparking.
Hey,
So I guess I don't need to get the drill out. Well, you can't beat that.
that's pretty neat.
So, I don't know. Maybe we just need to put it back on there and have to get it timed correctly so that it sparks when it's supposed to. But yeah, can't beat that. Got a pretty decent spark. Okay, I'm going to take this little piece that he's got wired on there off of this thing. I wonder how many years ago somebody wired that to that magneto and how many years it's managed to stay together. The guy that gave this to us said that he knows that the engine's been sitting around for at least 30 years, so I think that this went in this hole right down there, but I'm not positive of that, but it seems like it would fit in there, but I might have to
Pull the gear to do it, huh?
yeah, pull the gear to get that back in there. That's probably why it was wired on there. You probably put the gear back on and then realized that that piece was not in there and should be. So I think we're going to have to pull this gear back off of there. I just can't believe that the magneto fired.
Yeah, that's what you need.
That'll let us see, getting this gear out of the way anyway, will let us see down underneath there, because I think this is supposed to be an impulse mag. I think it's supposed to click, and then once it gets up to speed, it will quit clicking. And that, oh well, that nut was just finger tight after I took the pin out. I'm probably blocking that with my hand so nobody can even see what's going on here.
You probably want to make sure you get the gear back on the same way.
I'll bet it's...
Might be spleen or
yeah.
index or...
No, it's not at all.
Apparently it don't make any difference, huh?
See what we got going on here. We got, if that goes down through there, like that, then when I crank it over, you can see the gear inside of there is going clockwise. Looking in through there, that's going clockwise, so that means that it's going to be turning this magneto counterclockwise. I'm trying to get this magneto put together, and Dad said, oh, there's some springs in the box over there. So he went and got the box, and there's a couple of springs in here. This is the one that was in it, but from what I'm seeing online, it looks like it should have a spring like this, but in the box was this tool, homemade tool, and I'm guessing, what, I keep forgetting the old guy's name that had this. Bud Leonard. I'm guessing Bud Leonard built this tool because it's made to go, there's a slot there, you slide that spring up on it, and then put it down in your gear, and you can use this to wind this spring. So I got to get the end of it caught in the little groove there. And then you use this to wind that spring to get it in there. Which I've got visions of this popping out of here and hitting me for some reason. So I'm going to take this to the vise to try to wind it. But yeah, he's got Bud Leonard's homemade, which he probably worked on a lot of magnetos on stuff back then, and pulse magnetos were very common, so he probably used this a lot working on magnetos on engines. So I'm going to try to use this spring winder and wind up this spring and get it back down in there. Oh, I don't like having my fingers right near that. Okay folks, it's a completely different week now from when we were working on this last, and I don't even remember exactly where I cut off when we were working on this magneto, but I think it's when we had it over at the vise and we were trying to wind the spring and get it in there, and I finally came to the conclusion that day that I don't think the springs and stuff that I have here are actually correct for this engine or for this magneto, but I do think that I can put the magneto to get, oh, for crying out loud, Leo needs another bone. He's just starving down here. I do think that I can put this together without the, it's a trip mag, so a pulse mag for giving it a hotter spark when it starts. I think I can put it together without that pulse working, and I might have to crank the engine super fast to get it sparking, but we'll probably belt this up to an electric motor to get it cranking the first time anyway and get some fuel in it, and then we can fiddle around with it and see if we can get it running. And if it runs good, I will look for the correct parts, but I think the springs that I have are not exactly the correct spring for this, and I think that there's a pin that's supposed to be on the back side of the flywheel, or not the flywheel, the gear inside of this magneto that kind of helps with the trip mechanism, and I think that that pin is missing. So I'm gonna have to find some parts to make it absolutely correct. But I think the way I'm doing now, I can at least get it so that we can hear the engine run. And that's what I'm gonna shoot for today. So I'm gonna just put the camera on time lapse now, point it down here, and I'm gonna do what I think I need to do to try to make this mag so that it might just work. And then we'll put the camera back to regular when we get ready to stick it in here and see if we can figure out how to time this thing and see if we can make it at least pop off today and at least fire a few times. Okay, I got that put back together to where it will spark. I can clamp at the vise and just spin the gear by hand and it sparks. You saw that earlier in the video when we were initially working on this. So I don't have instructions on how to time this, but I can find top dead center. It goes right in here, the magneto goes right in, drives off of that gear. I can get the engine on top dead center, and I can look right in here and see where the points open, and I'm gonna set it to where the points open exactly on top dead center. Usually a pulse mag also makes it so that it starts just maybe right on top dead center, and then it'll be a few degrees advanced after that. Well, right now we're just going to have what we have, so I'm going to set it to spark exactly on top dead center, and if the engine runs this way, then we'll try to get the correct, I'll probably end up, I think that piece that's on this gear probably was pressed in there, so I'll probably end up just trying to find another drive gear and then the proper spring. I think the springs that we have are not the exact right springs for this, but I think if I get those two parts, then I can put it back together correctly the way it's supposed to be. All right, I guess I should turn on this light. That's better. I rolled this over to where it feels like it's on top dead center, and right on the top of the flywheel here, there's, looks like a B stamped in there, which I don't know why they would have B for top dead center, but I'm pretty sure that that and this might be a line right there that was intentionally put in there. I'm pretty sure they need to be about lined up with this groove in the casting. for top dead center. So I'm going to pull the spark plug out. I had to get the push rod for the intake valve out of the way to get a socket in there. They've got, which I have seen one of these before, a adapter to make a modern spark plug fit into the old big spark plug holes. It's got, oh, come on. It's like a groove cut into the side of it. That's kind of weird. There's one on each side. But I'm going to get my flashlight out and shine down in there and see if I can see the end of the piston so that I can tell if it truly is all the way on top dead center. And it is. Now, I don't have the bore scope with me, or I'd put that down there, but I can shine my flashlight down in there and see the end of the piston. And then when I rock the flywheel back and forth, I can see that it is indeed all the way forward. Yeah, Leo, you ate all your bones already. We've got no more for you today. Okay, so I'm going to turn this. It has to go clockwise until I just see the points start to break open. And that's where I'm going to slide it in here. Hopefully the gears will mesh up right there, and then I will rock it back and forth a few times and watch the points and make sure that they are breaking contact right on top dead center. I don't know if he was rebuilding this engine for somebody, or if somebody had rebuilt it. I mean, it's obviously been repainted. Yeah. But there's big gobs of paint on the heads of these bolts. I don't think it's ever been put back together and run since the work that was done to it has been done. I can't hardly get my wrench on there because of the globs of paint on there. There we go. I'll snug this up just a little bit, and then we'll roll it over a little bit again and make sure that we are on top dead center. And if we are, I know we checked the oil in it and the oil looks decent enough. Certainly good enough to at least hear it run. If we can get the electric motor in here and get it belted up to this, get it spinning over, and it is making good spark when it's spinning over, we'll put some fuel in it. See if this thing's gonna fire off or not. I bet there's supposed to be a gasket in there too. We can worry about that more later. We'll just try it for now and see if we at least get it to fire and make some noise. But I'll bet it probably is gonna leak oil out of there, something fierce once it's running. Alright, I got that all stuck back together. Here's what I believe to be my timing mark in that groove. And I don't know if the camera can see it well or not, but it's the lobe of the cam is lined right up with the little thing on the points that rubs on the cam. It's right there. That's right where it's breaking the points open. So I do believe that this is going to fire directly on top dead center. Now I'm just going to try to clamp this thing down to the table, and Dad brought in our electric motor that we've used to spin these things over before. We'll find a belt the right length and see if we can clamp everything down and get this thing to crank over. Shut this light overhead off here again. We'll see if the camera can see this, but I just tried cranking it over once by hand, and I wasn't even cranking it all that fast, and I was getting a good hot spark on this spark plug with the adapter that I pulled out of there. Let's see if the camera can pick it up or not. I think I can see it in the camera lens. So instead of belting that motor up that Dad just went all the way out to the back shed and brought in for me, I think the first thing I'm going to do is get a squirt jug of gas and just put a little shot of gas right down that spark plug hole. Put the spark plug back in there, give it a crank, and see if we hear a pop or not. Alright, to get the socket in there, I have to undo the intake valve push rod. Let's put a little dribble of gas. I got me an RC bottle from back in the 1990s. It works good for a primer jug. It actually doesn't work good. It's dripping gas everywhere where I want it. Now we got gas all over up there, so we ought to have a fireball pretty soon. I did get a little bit of gas down the spark plug hole. So we'll put this spark plug back in, snug it up, put the plug wire on, give this thing a crank and see if it at least makes a pop here. If it does go up in a fireball, it's going to be a good view for you guys because you're looking straight down on it from above the spark plug. Yeah, I probably should. Probably should. All right, let's see what happens. Whole lot of nothing. Alright, maybe we will get the motor and get this belted up so I can get it, spin it over, put a little bit of fuel in it, and get up here and fiddle with the fuel air mixture and all that and see if we can make anything happen here. Well, I got this motor kind of haphazardly clamped to the bench, belt going around the flywheel of the LB, or LA, and I went ahead and grabbed another spark plug, which actually if the spark plug that's in here doesn't work, we can switch this one, it'll thread in there. But let's see if this electric motor will spin this fast enough to make that spark with the trip thing not working in the magneto. So let's crank this over and see if that spark plug is sparking. And yeah, it's sparking really good. Alright, you can unplug it now. We'll hook the spark plug back, the spark plug wire back up to the plug that's in it. We'll start cranking it over and I can get in here and fiddle with the fuel mixture and the choke plate and all that stuff and see if we can make this thing pop off without me having to crank like a maniac for 10 minutes. Over here where you might be able to see if something exciting happens here. I think I will get it started cranking, then I'll run back around this side to get in here and do stuff so I'm not reaching through that belt. Okay. We're going to open this about as far as we open up our LB. Oh, I did something there. Let's open it up a little more. It's popping out the carburetor. Popping out the carburetor.
Is the timing?
Well, I don't know. Well, we looked at timing again, and I think the timing is close enough that it should work. So I'm going to pull this.
And I wonder about that spark plug. It's sparking. And it's
Yeah.
sparking.
I guess the easiest thing, yeah, would be just to pop that other spark plug in and try it with that.
Yeah.
See if it is any different. Then we can just pull the fuel line out. Maybe it's not getting enough fuel pulled up there, because sneezing backwards through the carburetor usually means lean.
Yeah.
Spark plug's pretty wet, but I did slop gas all over around there trying to pour some gas down the spark plug hole earlier, so. We've got the spark plug that I was using to test the magneto earlier is an old W18. I'm going to take it to the bench grinder real quick and shine it up on the wire wheel on the grinder, and we'll throw that in there and see if it's any different. Gap looks about right. It's not all the way shut and not far open, so that should be just about perfect. I don't know if this will take the same size. Yep, it does. Try it real quick just with that spark plug and see if that makes any difference at all. Okay. Now let me get back around there. We'll try that one more time, and then if that doesn't work, we'll pull the belt off and I'll try hand cranking it now that I know it's firing. But let's get it back going here. Okay. feel like we're not getting any fuel into this, and that's a pretty simple thing to check on this engine. So let's see if that top one is going to come loose. That would be what determines whether this is easy or not. 3/8 or 7/16. It looks like it's 3/8. Well, that is not 7/16, not 3/8. I think it's rounded.
Vice grip.
Well, that was not very tight, but it's probably because you can't get a wrench on it to tighten it anymore. This part is the fuel line, and then this part has your pickup tube, and well, there's no check valve at all on that unless it's in here. No, I can see straight through it. So there's no kind of check valve at all, and that is going to make it very difficult to get this to run right. There's red paint in the threads of that, so whoever painted this and put it back together just stuck it all back together. Okay, we have a BB here, just a regular BB for a BB gun, and it fits down this fitting, but it won't go through that copper tube. So I'm going to just find a drill bit that'll barely fit down here and just lightly drill the end of that copper tube that's brazed in there, so that it gives it a little bit of a beveled seat for that BB to sit in. Okay, so I'm just going to take a drill bit, go down in here. I probably should hold that with a pair of pliers so it doesn't rip out of my fingers and hurt me. I'm just going to... That functions like a check valve. The check valve is actually going clear to the bottom of that tube. That's why I kind of beat the end of it flat a little bit, so it made a little bit of a ridge in there so it can't fall out. We'll see if it works or not. If it works, I'll probably never fix it and just use it that way forever. If it doesn't work, I'll have to look for a correct I don't know why I'm using those when I got a wrench that fits it right here. Look for a correct fuel pickup for this. The good thing is you can get whole new fuel line and pickup and check ball and all that stuff for these engines now. There's no restriction going in there, and I think that since it was popping, it's sucking fuel up, it just was losing its prime over and over and over again. So let's...
And that top nut wasn't tight either, so it might
yeah.
have sucked in there better.
Let's thread this back together and try it one more time. Yeah, it's about all the tighter I want to go with that poor old rounded off nut. Well, I hate to be too overly confident, but I feel like that solved a problem that definitely could have been keeping it from running. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Open my fuel a few turns here. Alright, go ahead and cut it for a second. I do know that as soon as the engine tries to fire, this thing does not, the electric motor, not only does it work to crank it over, but it works to keep it from speeding up. So I'm going to try to pull the belt off. I got the carburetor set where it was popping for me, and I'm going to give it a few cranks and then hit the choke once and see what it does. Let me get that out of my way. Leave the other one on there. When it does fire, it's awfully black. The smoke coming out. Alright, I'm going to put the belt back on and try it again. Give it a little bit more and then I got to give up on this again for today. But I'd like to hear it fire a couple more pops than that, but pretty soon I'm going to have to give up on this for this part of the video too, because I'm guessing I'm going to be an hour-long video already. Alright, I'll get cranking here. Okay. for a second. I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to try closing the spark plug gap a little bit, because we are, like, it's not, certainly not getting as hot a spark as it would be getting if that mag was pulsing like it should.
Exactly.
So let's close the spark plug gap just a little bit and try it one more time. If that doesn't do it, then I'll have to wrap it up for this video, and we'll revisit this in a few weeks. We'll get the correct parts for the magneto.
Yep, and get a check valve, a proper check valve.
And close the spark plug gap to where there almost isn't any. That's awfully darn close. Let's see if that does anything. Come on. They got hefty springs on their
Yeah, they do.
valves, that's for sure. You know, that closed again to start out. Come over here and get it cranking. Okay. Hold on a second. That was a little more promising. Okay, kill it. Let me try it with a hand crank now and see if when it fires and tries to speed up, if it can build a little speed. Well, everything's shaking off the bench. The electric motor about fell off. Let's put the camera on something that's not going to be shaking violently and try that one more time.
My feet were tangled up in the cord, so I couldn't get over here and help.
Alright, let's try this one more time now. See, it even moved the whole
You want to take some of this stuff
damn
off?
motor on. Yeah, that'll make fire even if it doesn't really make any difference. It'll make it a little quieter for the video. But it did try. Probably the most that this thing's done in
Yes.
a long, long time. It even turned the motor on the table a little bit.
Maybe I can help hold the motor if it starts again.
I found a muffler and threw on there. We situated the motor a little bit differently. It was moving our whole damn welding table. I tried to move that while Dad was dumping water in, and we spilled water all over. It's still not over the top of the cylinder.
Well,
It's still got another inch to go. But I'm going to try starting it back up one more time and see if it sounds a little better so you can actually hear me talking over it with that muffler on there. I guess the rocker arms probably haven't been oiled in about 50 years, so we can do that while we're just standing here and get the valve a little shot of oil. Everything else on this engine is self-lubricating, so. Yeah, that got it. Third time's a charm. Okay, I'll wait for Dad to get back out here in case the table decides to start walking around again. We can help hold it in place. Let's see what's gonna do here. Let's see, I close the fuel all the way, so I'll go back on 3 cranks. That seemed to be a good starting place. I don't think it is either, because I have to keep working the choke to keep it firing. So we're going to wrap this up for this video. At least the old girl ran.
Yes.
It seems like it's going to run fine. We'll get it a proper check valve, and I'll look into that magneto a little more, although it seems that it starts just fine at the speed I'm cranking it without the pulse. So if the parts for that are going to be expensive, I'll probably do something a little better than just having that rubber plug in there and use it the way it is for now. The magneto seems to be working perfectly fine, and the engine didn't smoke bad. I think it's going to be all right. So thanks for watching, folks. As I say every week, if you enjoy the content we're putting out, the best thing you can do to help our channel is just let the ads play when they come up. I know they're annoying. Seems like they're getting to be more and more of them, and they're longer and longer. Watch the first 30 seconds of it before you skip it. That's enough to make it count for me. And the other thing you can do that really does help us out is give the video a like, leave a comment. The YouTube algorithms love all of that stuff. Share the video if there's anybody that you know that you think might like this. And come on back next week. We will definitely have a video of something here for you to watch.
That just feels good.